This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, talk, inspiration, and prayer. Listen to my show every Monday from 11 to 12 on KWWJ 1360 AM, KYOK 1140 AM, KCOH at 1230 KCOH.com, Sankeet Radio at 95.1 FM, 1460 AM, and Latino Sports, KEYH 850 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then. Like a good team when you're on, it's kind of like that whole bam, 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 bam.
Well, I'd like to think so.
I mean, it's awesome. And the other thing is about you is you're probably a real example of a Renaissance man. When you think about
thank you,
all the things that you've done in your life, and we're going to talk a lot about it because you have covered the world, and I really mean the world. And when I talk about the world, I mean, I don't know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, you've seen it all. Talk a little bit about your history again and all the work you've done in journalism and some of the, hot spots you've been.
Well, I've been doing this for 33 years
33 years?
And I got my start covering violence during the end of apartheid in South Africa in 1993. I'm a former soldier. I spent 7 years on active duty. And that kind of gave me the background where I could go into these hostile environments and report safely and get the story out. So started out in South Africa, covering the end of apartheid, 93, 94. From there, I went to Rwanda, covered the end of the genocide. And what happened next, I lived in Rwanda for 2 years and covered the fall of Mobutu Sese Seko in Zaire, what is now Congo. Spent a lot of time in Congo, Somalia, South Sudan. All in all, I've covered 9 wars. I did 2 years in Iraq, a significant amount of time in Afghanistan. And of course, I've reported for more than 30 countries before joining the Houston Chronicle about 10 years ago when I got too old for that stuff.
And so here you are reporting the Houston Chronicle. From all your experience, it's like boring compared to what you've been through.
I don't know about that. I'm covering the energy transition. And of course, I write about Texas politics.
Well,
which,
there you go.
Is a blood sport.
And that is, we're going to talk a lot about that in just a little bit. But, let me, in all seriousness, when you look at those hotspots and all these wars and all these, I'm going to use a term, I don't know if it's correct or not, but countries that are run by a dictator, quote unquote, a strong man, etc. Are there lessons for America to learn to avoid? These are the signs that you're going down the wrong path in your democracy. I mean, is there anything that comes to your mind?
Oh, I mean, so many things, right? I mean, it's quite predictable how democracies fail. I've witnessed it in several countries. I look back at my time in Uganda or in Kenya or, in West Africa. There's so much to a democracy beyond, casting your ballot. And it has to do with an independent judiciary, has to do with an independent press. It has to do with minimizing the amount of power you put into the executive and whether or not the executive abuses that power.
And, when you look at what's happening here in this country, and everyone knows I'm a Democrat, but I try not to be political so much on the show, but there are certain things that are just worth talking about. we have to talk about it. Things like, it started with sort of eliminating books, taking books out of the libraries. And I saw some of the books are like Handmaid's Tale. I mean, you can see it on TV. Things like Wicked. I mean, you can see that at the movie theater. But they've taken them out of the libraries. So that's one. Then it goes into things like controlling the press. And then it goes to things like the court system, stacking the courts. And then it goes into now putting sort of militarizing the cities at the local level. All those are signs that you're going down the wrong path.
No, I agree. As a soldier in 1983, I took an oath to protect and uphold the Constitution of the United States. We very deliberately in the U.S., law enforcement and the military takes an oath to the Constitution, not to the president, not to the Congress, not to any individual. And as someone who's taken that oath and still tries to live by it as a journalist today, it really disturbs me to see, attempts to limit what people can read, to intimidate the press with lawsuits, and frankly, to put troops in the streets. I never thought I would live to see the day that, short of a riot or major emergency, we have armored vehicles and armed troops driving around the nation's capital, and there's talk and Los Angeles, and there's talk of expanding that. That's all of that is truly frightening, and a sign that we're losing our grip on the people's power.
Well, I saw that they're looking at expanding into Chicago, potentially Baltimore. I'm not sure what. I think maybe now in New York. I mean, it's just. Maybe soon it's going to be Houston. Can you imagine us going to Discovery Green and right around City Hall, coming downtown, and you see all these men or women with machine guns and all these? I mean, that's what it's about, and it's scary.
Well, and the question is, who do these troops answer to? One fundamental idea of American democracy is that the local police report to the local authorities, to the city council, to the mayor, to the city manager, that law enforcement is controlled locally, not nationally. If we see more National Guard troops deployed in more cities that, mind you, are predominantly people of color who are being oppressed by these troops, who do those troops answer to? Where do their orders come from? Do they come from Pete Hegseth, or do they come from the governor or the mayor? And it's this nationalization of law enforcement and the use of force that we should all be terrified of.
And are they trained? I mean, what training have they had? If you think about HPD or something, they've been through training. I've done that thing that they used to do called a shoot, don't shoot, where you go through and they simulate a crime scene. And I've done it as a citizen. I've been on ride-alongs. I mean, they're really trained. Well, are these troops going to be trained to know how to be in charge of civilian law and order?
No,
they're not.
They're not. I mean, the majority of these troops are not going to be military policemen. They're going to be infantry. They're going to be armor. They're going to be combat arms. They know the law of war. They know when you can shoot the enemy and when you can't. They know how to not commit human rights abuses against civilians in a war zone. They do not know about the 14th Amendment. They don't know about the 5th Amendment. They don't know about the restrictions on search and seizure and even the putting soldiers in people's homes. It's frightening. I'm not sure exactly what the goal here is, except to intimidate and frighten people who are considering objecting to President Donald Trump's policies.
You know what? I'm frightened, and people I know are frightened, and they're concerned about where does it end? We got a caller already. We have a caller, Houston. Is there a Richard on? Richard?
Yes, sir. Hi, Gilbert. How are you today?
Good. You got me, Gilbert Garcia, with a tip from me with Mr. Chris Tomlinson. We got a lot to cover today, but what do you want to talk about to Houston and Harris County right now?
the Hope and Healing for El Salvador. We sent you an invitation last week. We just wanted to update you on the progress we're making for our celebrity chef's dinner on September 21st.
Tell us.
A little bit about what we're doing. Of course, it's we're sending the Bibles to the children of El Salvador that have been kind of in a difficult situation because of the filling of the orphanages and overcrowding of the orphanage and not having much material to spend with the children and teach them a little bit about a little peace and a little bit of survival tactics through our donation of 20,000 Bibles to the children.
Wow. And that's
Three
going to be
different
that's
age
going to be at Brennan's, right?
Yeah, we're going to have
we're showing it. We're showing it
dinner.
right now on the website. Of course, it'll be on our TV
Great.
stations and so forth. It says
Perfect.
benefit dinner to bring God's love to Salvadorian children, Sunday, September 21st at 6 p.m. at Brennan's.
Yes, and we have some great celebrity chefs coming from Restaurant State of Grace, and we have Davis Street at Herman Park chef Mark Holly, 3 El Salvadorian chefs that are part of the Brennan's team are going to be there.
Oh, how
And we're gonna
wonderful.
have a wonderful presentation. We have a pastor coming from El Salvador who works closely with the orphanage, and he's going to tell a little bit about what's going on in the country. And we have a great silent auction. We've been given some amazing items to put in our silent auction program for all those attending as well. So
Wonderful.
we're pretty excited.
Well, thank you for calling and thank you for keeping us up to date. And please call us and keep letting us know. And of course, Houston, our number is 832-570-8075. We're just getting started. We're really near the top of the hour still. So, Richard, thank you for calling in.
Thank you, Gilbert. Have a lovely day.
You too, my friend. You know, Chris, I want to pivot, but we are going to come back to what's going on at the national level because there are some things happening here at the local level. We're going to build our way up. We're going to start, frankly, with Commissioner's Court, which, of course, is our county government. And then we're going to go to Austin and all the hoopla going on there. And so we got a lot to cover. And when we talk about Commissioner's Court, I'm going to just show you a clip. And it's a little bit of long clip. So everyone, please listen because you cannot make this up. This could be like a skit, says Saturday Night Live. This could be like a Saturday Night Live skit, except for one thing. It's real. And it's not even, it's not meant to be funny. It's real. And these are real leaders that are controlling real issues to make our lives better and spending our money. And this is what's happening. And the funny thing is, Chris, I remember that for a long time, Commissioner's Court was under Republican control. It was like a 4-1 situation. And, it wasn't very transparent, but it functioned, rightly or wrongly. Now, it just doesn't seem to function. Now, I don't know, maybe there's too much transparency here because we're seeing the sausage, and I'm not so sure we like what we see. And so I'm kind of in that conflicted thing there because some of these meetings are like going on the entire day, like 8 or 9 hours. And for people that want to speak or the staff, it's just changed their whole lives. Have you been following any of that at the county?
No, honestly, I have.
Well, you're going to love this clip.
Austin's kept me busy.
Yes, you're going to love this clip. So this is just the other day at Commissioner's Court. And so it's been going on. And the whole issue was about the county judge wants to spend money on a pilot program that is helping young, sort of inner city, low income families. And it's kind of a smaller program, but that's how programs begin. And apparently she had not really discussed it with the other commissioners. So I think the commissioners felt blindsided, and you're going to hear that yourself, as this was meant to be the vote for it. And this is just about a 9 or 10 minute clip. Let's play it. Let's go to the videotape.
Back then, when we started programs, that we would not be able to continue them after the date that the ARPA money ran out. So this is something we knew was coming.
Correct.
I find let me speak. I'm going to continue. I've listened to you for over an hour.
Go ahead.
So
And what I'm going to do is bring the kids here and ask each member yes or no. Yes, Commissioner Garcia.
Point of order. We are proceeding with the debate improperly because there's been a motion made, no second, and we're in discussion. So
I didn't make a motion. I just read what it's going to be.
no, you said
No, I didn't
motion.
say, no,
Yes.
I didn't.
yes. you
Okay, well, I take it back. Yeah.
Judge,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you,
did.
Commissioner.
My education's important.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Ramsey, did you have something else to add? Commissioner Briones.
Now,
So
pause
yes,
right there.
thank
Pause
you.
right there.
Especially to all the kids who took.
Listen. So Tom Ramsey is a Republican on court, and he's a really good guy. I know him. Our politics aren't the same, but he's so rational that we always together would focus on things that we have in common rather than fight about things that we don't need to fight about. And he was a mayor of one of the villages, and now he took, of course, oh my goodness, I'm having a senior moment, as they say, Steve Raddick's position. And he's very rational. But boy, this meeting brought out in him a lot of emotion, which he normally doesn't have. So let's keep going. So the whole thing, too, is the Lena Hidalgo, the county judge, brought in all these young kids. These, I don't know how old they are. I think they're like elementary school kids, almost like a prop for this vote. So let's keep going.
Time to come and all the educators.
Kids, come on down. Let's see if she says yes or no. Come on down over here. Come on, come on. Because this is not about politics.
Judge.
This is about kids.
Judge,
Come on down.
Judge,
Excuse me, Judge Hidalgo.
Judge.
Part of
Commissioner,
education is respect.
Judge.
Excuse me, point of
Yeah.
order with
Yeah.
regard to decorum.
Yes. State your point of order, Commissioner.
That
Thanks,
this is
Jay.
in breach of the decorum rules, and I have the floor to speak, and I deserve to be able to speak without being interrupted, as we have been patiently listening to everybody as well.
Judge, we've been very lax on this. Certainly this meeting because of the children, but we're not supposed to have public demonstrations and excess noise, obviously from
Right.
from
Yeah,
the
I
audience.
normally
So
do that.
I
They
just
stopped.
want to remind everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
So yes, thank you. As a mom of 3 little kids, as a former teacher, and as the daughter of retired teachers of 50 years, education is of paramount importance, period. Teaching our kids is of paramount importance, period. And this proposal came 2 weeks ago. The ARPA investment was always a one-time pilot for the contract slot proposal. So this proposal is 2 weeks old. When we look
False.
down the road in Travis County, they spent 2 years working with subject matter experts.
We said 4 years.
Excuse me, Judge, please be respectful, at least to model
Education
the
is
behavior.
truth-telling. Don't give the kids this example of making things up. This has been going on for 4 years.
Point of
Excuse
order.
me.
4
Our
years.
children are here,
Judge.
so you should please try to be respectful and focus on the work.
By saying the truth.
Line is this half-baked proposal
4
that did
years.
not have robust stakeholder engagement. It does not have a detailed program, does not have a detailed budget.
4 years
it does
designed with
not
your
have
office.
The program evaluation. The projects we're doing, which again was a one-time ARPA investment through 2026, and everything has been crystal clear on that. The evaluation done by a third party will be available next year in 2026. Is that correct, Director?
80-page evaluation.
That's correct.
Doctor,
There is an annual.
Is this an evaluation? Yes or no?
Point of order.
Judge,
Commissioner Briones has the
Right.
floor.
It's the first 2 years.
Judge,
We have to wait 20 years to know if these kids
Point of
graduate
order.
college.
Judge,
Point of order.
Commissioner Garcia, state your point of order.
Point of order. Commissioner Briones has the floor.
Judge,
Be a good example for the children.
yes, Commissioner Briones.
Is this how
We are
we're going to
committed-
conduct court from now on? Because if this is how we're going to do it, we will do this again and we'll reference this case. This is how we're going to do court.
Okay.
This is totally against what we should be doing according to decorum. And I can't believe you're sitting there.
So if I may continue, please, without any interruptions. Again, this is about the process, not the policy. Childhood education, early childhood education, and education at all levels is of paramount importance. But this proposal came 2 weeks ago.
False.
We have been working with the Gulf Coast Workforce Board. This region gets 328 million, and most of it is invested in Harris County. The Gulf Coast Workforce Board is on first for early childhood education.
We're working with them.
Excuse me. We need to maximize. So these are federal dollars sent to the state, sent to the Workforce Board.
Not
They
enough
need to
money.
be optimized and scaled, and they are on first to set up a new program without a detailed
We worked with
plan,
them to design
budget.
this.
Excuse me, please.
Falsehoods are not appropriate in front of children.
You should tell yourself that. In sum, education is non-negotiable, and there are federal state resources that as a region need to be maximized. So
enough.
just the way the 2-year Travis County efforts were incredibly
We've worked
robust.
for 4 years. They did not have proof of
Stakeholder
concept. We've
engagement.
been running the
Commissioner,
programs for 4 years.
Can
They
we
have not even
please
started
stay
running them.
focused?
Judge, please,
We-
Commissioner, I apologize. Our rules don't generally apply to the 5 of you right now. But I do think it's very hard, both from the public's perspective and on the minutes.
Because
We need to have one
there's so
person
many
speaking at a
falsehoods
time.
and kids are here listening.
Yeah, we've
Our
listened to your
program ran for
falsehoods
4
last
years.
hour.
Travis County
Your
did not have their
description of the
program
last
run.
hour has been full
Commissioner?
of inaccuracy.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner,
Ma'am.
Judge, one person at a time, and so Commissioner Briones has the
Thank you.
floor
If
right
I
now.
may finish my comments. In sum, the people deserve, if they're going to vote on something, it needs to be clear, detailed, transparent. What was a pilot project is not the same as instituting a permanent program. And if we're going to do something, we must do it right with deep stakeholder engagement.
We did
That's
that
2 years or plus, not 2 weeks.
4
So
years.
for those reasons, I will not be supporting this initiative. And I want to lean further on the federal and state government and the workforce board that they are well positioned to be scaling and maximizing these critical services. And as a county, we need to double down and maximize what we are legally required to deliver to you, which is public safety, public infrastructure, and public health. So this could be a both and, but we don't even have the independent evaluation on the pilot. That will come next year. So as someone who's committed to data-driven policymaking, I would be happy to revisit this after deep, thoughtful, data-driven efforts that are robust. And so for that reason, I will not be supporting it.
This
Thank
is
you.
the 80-page evaluation. Commissioner Ellis, I know you mentioned something this morning. I want to see if you wanted to bring it up.
I call for the question.
Judge, question's been called.
Yeah, there
On
is
the motion?
there is
I
no
called for a
question.
question.
I didn't make a motion, but I do want to say, Commissioner Ellis, did you have
I
something to
call
add?
for the question.
There is no question.
Yes, there is.
I
Do you wanna
second
make
it.
a question?
I second the call for question.
Judge, if there's a motion on the floor, the question's been called, so it needs a motion, and then if you have to see if there's a second, and then you have to take a vote.
Okay. So kids, let me
Order.
ask Commissioner Briones, is she yes
The
or
question's
no?
been a second.
Is she
Motion
yes or
been-
no? Are you
Second.
yes or no, Commissioner Briones? Here's the 80-page evaluation. Our program has been running successfully for 4 years. Travis
of order,
County didn't
Jay.
even
Judge.
run a program.
Judge, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but a question has been called. You made a motion. We have to call for a second for that motion,
Said I took it back.
and then a vote has to be taken.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna say, I'm so disappointed, obviously, on behalf of the thousands of families in Harris County whose babies 0 to 4 will stop receiving crucial education, and to think those families and their children will lose access to childcare and education because of political decision-making and a refusal to trust the voters to decide this important issue. There's absolutely no reason why we can't simply ask the voters what they would like to see. The program has been evaluated. The offices have been working on this for 4 years. I've been talking about a bond election since 2019. Unlike Travis County, we actually ran the program before putting it to the voters. We have been working with the Texas
Okay,
Workforce
when a motion has
Houston
been
IZ
made and it's been
and
seconded,
others.
and we have someone not
Okay,
recognizing the rules.
let's
how do we
just move on
proceed
to the
with-
next item. That's all I have to say. And
Judge-
if you want to vote
Judge-
no in front of the kids, that's
Well,
for
Judge,
you.
a motion has been made. You have to call for a second. A question's been called on this. If there's no
They-
second, then we can move on.
I didn't make a motion.
Ramsey seconded.
Okay.
What's the motion?
I heard you make the motion.
No, I
There's
said
no
I
second.
didn't make a motion.
Okay, so are you pulling the motion back? There's no motion?
I did not make the motion. I'm asking if my colleagues are yes or no for just asking the voters. Commissioner,
Point of
I'm
order,
yes.
Ju-
Commissioner Briones
okay.
is no. Commissioner Ramsey is
Gotcha.
no. Commissioner Garcia is no.
Ju-
Commissioner
okay,
Ellis is
sure.
no.
Judge,
It's
based on,
11:51. I'd like to call a 10-minute break. Thank you.
That was just a terrible example for those young kids. But you probably see this sort of thing like just all the time.
I don't know. Is it a terrible
then,
example?
when we
I
were-
mean,
well,
at this stage in our politics,
I mean-
I was in San Antonio last week and saw something similar
it
happen there.
was right about the
Um,
whole Spurs Stadium.
about the
and it-
Spurs Stadium. It's that one clip. It looks very chaotic.
Yes.
Right. But it's part of a larger thing that happened all day that day. It's part of a thing that's been happening all that year.
Right.
I'm of the opinion that our current president has set a new standard for how politics will be conducted in this country, and it's going to be chaos, and it's going to be stunts, and it's going to be things to attract headlines. It's not going to be about, careful, considered, reasoned processes anymore. That's not what the American people seem to respond to anymore. So I don't know. I mean, we were fighting over whether or not kids get this educational program. When is the point in which you turn a process that doesn't serve the people into a process of protest?
I think we're getting close to it. If we're not there, we're going to get there somehow. What's interesting is what you said is it really starts at the top, because when you saw the exchange there, the way the judge was interrupting Briones by just saying, no, it was this, no, it was it. I remember, I think it was a debate with Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, it's 2016.
Oh,
Donald Trump was
and
doing
he-
exactly that.
And he would say, wrong.
Yeah.
Remember, just like, wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the way that's the way things are done today. I mean, you have Supreme Court justices shouting out in the middle of the State of the Union speech, telling Obama that he was wrong.
Yep.
Right? I mean, this idea of instantaneous fact checking. It's no. I mean, is it decorum? No. Is it absurd? Yes. Is it sadly the way that people pay attention to the only way to get people to pay attention to the issues anymore? Yeah, I mean, I can see it in my own work. If I write a very reasoned column, it gets no traction. If I just blast, if I get indignant and I blast whatever group or person or institution that I'm criticizing, yeah, that one will go viral. That one will get attention. So, I don't know the full context of that, that stunt, but do I think we're in an age of political stunts? Yeah. And honestly, when you look at the polling, the American people are so sick and tired of politicians on both sides that they want some truth telling. They want people to call out the madness and the silliness and the stuffiness. I mean, when I listen to Briones speak, I mean, it's like just political jargon, code word,
Yeah.
code word. It says almost nothing.
That's right. Well, what's interesting to me is, where does this go, do you think? I mean, where's the end result? Will we somehow have such a breakdown, a new third party evolves, and therefore, the Democrats don't exist anymore, or the Republicans don't exist, or something, and everything will then just kind of go back the other way? Where does this really go?
I mean, typically, like any pendulum, it goes to an extreme point and then it swings back the other way. And where are we on that pendulum swing toward extravagant, extreme, stunt-driven political performance? I'd like to think we're reaching the peak of it, because at the end of the day, the American people, or any group of people in any country, anywhere in the world, what they want are results. They want to see their lives get better, right? They want to see their nation improve. They want to see the economy get better. They want to see their work life. They want to see their health. They want to see progress in their society and in their personal life. And, when we realize that politicians who do stunts don't always deliver, and maybe the quiet politician does, then maybe it'll go back the other way.
Let's hope so. Well, let's go the other way. The key is we need to make the people's lives better. However we get there, that's really what we need, more than ever. We got another caller, though. Is there a Derek on the line? Derek, are you there, my friend?
Yes, I am. How you doing, Gilbert?
Good. You got me.
Yes.
You got me. And of course, you got Mr. Chris Tomlinson. We've been talking a little bit about really politics and decorum, and we're going to get into gerrymandering and all kinds of things. But what do you have? And what do you want to talk to Houston and Harris County right now?
Well, Gilbert, I just want to say bravo to Judge Halago. One of the main things that I think we need to look at what took place was, how did she get there? I mean, ever since she's been in office, they always been nitpicking at her, always on her back, pushing her. And having that type of seat, I can understand that's going to come up all the time. But I don't think she needs to even care. And I don't think she really does care about them talking about censuring her, because how you going to be censored with hypocrites? They never liked you in the first place. So it should not even, it's not going to hurt. But I'm glad that she did take that stand that she did, because it's really exposed every last one of them who's sitting there. They always say all the time, I believe, that the children are our future. Well, you was put on full display just by what she done. So we know where you at. That's all I call to say.
Well, no, I appreciate your opinion. And I think, you can stay on for another minute. Okay, Derek, don't leave
all
yet.
Right,
don't leave yet, because I'm going to make a statement here to Chris, because one of the things that I have seen is polling, and the polling that I have seen, the Congress is like one step above, scalawags or something really bad, right? I mean, they're
right.
like the bottom of the barrel of people. But what's very interesting, while people dislike Congress, they like their member of Congress. I mean, it's real interesting how people are able to separate. Well, yeah, they're all a bunch of, no good, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, but I like my member of Congress. And I think that's where the disconnect is. So again, maybe this is just all how it's always been, but we just see it more because of social media. I mean, maybe this is really how it's always been. What say you there, Derek? In other words, is this really a new trend, or has everything kind of been, difficult? Even going back, you saw the movie Lincoln when they talked about the amendment on Emancipation Proclamation and slavery and everything, and the politics behind it. It was a very interesting movie. What do you say, Derek?
I believe what you're saying is absolutely correct, because just looking at just matter of fact, you can go back to the Reagan era. look at how Reagan was brought into office. You know, he come up with this little slogan. Then next thing you notice, then George Bush come in with his fuzzy mask, and then you know it's just ongoing. And now Donald Trump come in with his fake news, and then next thing you notice, he one thing we got to give him credit on is this here. Just in this one presidency, he was able to disavow the media, disavow the journalists, just by coming up with that fake news slogan. And now he have everybody running around and not questioning everything that they hear, which you're supposed to always have already supposed to have done. But throughout the annals of time, we found out that the government itself lies to the people.
What's interesting is he was able to label things and label people, and it would stick. I remember during that whole when he was running against Marco Rubio and the governor of Florida, the other Bush, Jeb.
Oh yeah,
and he called Jeb Bush low energy, and you know, and he kind of was low energy, and it stuck. And he called Marco Rubio poor little Marco, and it stuck. And they could never shake those sorts of stereotypes. I mean, have you seen anyone be that successful at branding their opponent something negative and it sticks before, Chris?
Well, I mean, that is Donald Trump's true talent, is branding and marketing, right? I mean, he is willing to say what most people perceive but would never say out loud themselves, right? I mean, whether and that is a peculiar genius that he has, and no, I can't think of anyone else who's done that as well. But politicians, their job is to develop this parasocial relationship with voters that makes the voter feel like the politician is their friend, is their champion, is going to look out for them and do what's best for them. And when they fail, well, you can blame the institution, right? I mean, it's not my fault. It's the institution's fault. I'm just one of 435 people.
Yeah. If I could have my way, if I could really have my way, they're the ones preventing me from really implementing what the people really need. That sort of attitude.
It goes back to Gilbert's
Go
point,
ahead.
though. It definitely goes back to Gilbert's point. Donald Trump, he captured the imagination of people who actually think like him, and it's unfortunate, but we bear responsibilities too as the citizens for allowing for leadership to be like that. If you did not like the water that you're in, then you would have gotten out of that water. But unfortunately, the United States and the people in the United States, their presidents, their leaders, all reflect who they are.
Amen.
That's
to
the
that.
ugly truth.
I understand. Derek, thank you for calling in, and please call in again. So,
I will. Thank you.
So, Chris, I want to pivot to our favorite topic, Austin. Austin is one of those places that somehow, it's kind of like the Wild Wild West, but it's really like one group fighting among themselves because the other group kind of doesn't even have a voice. Am I right or wrong? I mean, it's like a whole nother group like doesn't even exist. And what's interesting about Austin is this recent move, and just educate the voters again how unusual this move is, because normally we have the census, people get counted, and then you could say you don't like the way we do it, but the lines are drawn. You can call it gerrymandering or not, but the reality is every 10 years the lines are drawn, and every political party in every state will try to do things to their advantage. That's normal. It is what is. But this is unusual because here we are in the middle, and we're doing another redraw. Tell us about that, and how different is that in your mind?
I mean, it's extraordinary,
isn't it?
For a legislature to redraw the maps without a new census, without a court order. I mean, the Texas legislature has never passed a set of maps since 1960 that were not challenged in court, ruled unconstitutional, and the state was forced to redraw them. right? I mean, this is goes back to the Voting Rights Act, and people say, oh well, look at Massachusetts, look at California, and it's like, well, but those maps were drawn immediately following a census, and in California they were drawn by an independent commission. In Massachusetts, it's drawn by the legislature. But ultimately, in Texas, traditionally, it's about the elected officials choosing their voters, drawing the lines in such a way that guarantees that they can win. And the Voting Rights Act used to stop that, used to limit how much you could gerrymander, limit how much you could exclude Black and brown voices from having representation in Austin or in Houston or in Washington. That is what's so revolutionary about what they're doing right now. Is this is not connected to a census. It's not connected to a court order. It is solely designed to remove Black and brown elected officials and allow more conservative Trump supporters to win. And if that's not vote rigging, I don't know what is.
And it's essentially passed the House, right? And
it's passed the Senate,
and
Governor Abbott will sign it this week.
Yeah, and we'll sign it. And isn't the first map that was done after the most recent census, isn't that still under a lawsuit?
Yes, there is a.
So we're doing another map, even though that lawsuit is not even decided yet.
Well, I mean, that's the
right?
absurdity of this whole thing, is that the last map was very questionable, right? I mean, it was, Black and brown people made up 90% of the population increase in Texas. And the new districts, we added 3 new districts, and all of them were drawn to elect white people from rural areas. So that in itself was the basis of a lawsuit. It was filed in El Paso. That suit is ongoing. And in the middle, and during that suit, of course, the state of Texas says, oh, there is nothing wrong with these maps. They are perfectly constitutional. Then Donald Trump says, oh, I want you to redraw the maps. Suddenly, Greg Abbott stands up and says, oh, well, we have to redraw these maps because they're unconstitutional, which is, has yet to be decided, right?
Even though they had just said they were perfectly
Even though
right.
they had just said
And
that
now
they were perfectly constitutional.
And now it was like, well, we really put too many people of color in 1 or 2 districts. And so now that's unfair. And so we need to split them up.
Oh, well, the whole argument around the Petaway decision in Galveston, how that supposedly mandated redistricting, is an absolute garbage argument. It has no legal basis whatsoever. It's absurd.
To tell our listeners more about that.
Okay, so Galveston County drew their county commissioners' precincts in a way to basically make sure that Black and brown people cannot possibly elect representation. Their argument was that there needed to be a district that was a combination of Black and brown people that would allow them to elect a representative of their choice. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals said that there is no requirement to create so-called coalition districts. There's no requirement to create a coalition district. There's nothing unconstitutional about having a coalition district. The Fifth Circuit just said it's not required. Well, Governor Abbott's saying, well, because it's not required, our maps are completely unconstitutional. Which is just, it's a non sequitur.
Very interesting. So let me ask you this. So here we are. We're going to have these new maps. What happens to this whole congressional District 18 that's unrepresented? Here you have a situation where we just passed the big, beautiful bill and all sorts of things. And you had a district that has a high proportion of people who are going to lose some of those benefits, like SNAP and other things. And they didn't even have a member of Congress to say anything about it or vote no. So what happens to that district? Because all these people are running. It's going to be in November. And I'm confused as to what happens when the new maps come in. And then, of course, you probably have Al Green who's going to run. And I don't know where that fits either. Do you know that labyrinth yet? I mean,
no one does.
Yeah.
I mean, the maps haven't been signed. The lawsuits were just filed over the weekend. The lawsuit out in El Paso is claiming that, these maps should not be allowed until the constitutionality of the old maps is decided. There's a whole constitutional issue whether you can redraw districts without a census. So there are a myriad of issues, and a whole bunch of lawsuits, and we honestly don't know how this is going to play out.
But those things will take years, right? I mean,
there will be a temporary order at some point, and whether that order is issued by the Fifth Circuit, I suspect it's going to have to go to the Supreme Court. Based on recent decisions, our federal judges in New Orleans for the Fifth Circuit and the Supreme Court in Washington are completely compliant with President Trump. So I suspect he's going to get what he wants. At that point, a lot of people are going to have to fight. But it goes down to this fundamental idea that American democracy is about the idea that we all get to have our voices heard, and that we send our representatives to Austin or DC and that they argue and they compromise and they find a solution that hopefully works best for everyone. But that's not what the Republican Party is doing anymore. The Republican Party is about crushing dissent. It's about making sure that Democrats have no voice, whether it's a white, black, brown, person of color, a white person, it doesn't matter. If you don't agree with the president, they want to take away your power to have any voice whatsoever. And State Senator Phil King said as much when he was presenting the maps to the state Senate on Saturday. He says, we will not allow Democrats to have any voice anymore. That's the whole point here. And that's not what U.S. democracy was founded on.
And then, of course, now we're going to have a situation where you see it happening in California, probably in New York, maybe in Illinois, where they're going to redraw their maps. And all of a sudden, we're going to have the whole thing of the census just goes out the window, and parties are just going to be drawing maps as they see fit.
Yeah,
that's where this is going.
Every 2 years,
Yeah.
You get a new map, depending on who's in power and whether or not they think they can add a seat. Redistricting lawsuits are people make their careers doing nothing but filing lawsuits against maps. I mean, that's imagine that your whole career, 20, 30 years of your life is spent challenging every single map that ever comes up in court. That business, those lawyers are going to see their business triple if we have a new map every 2 years.
Holy cow. It's almost like the tax code and accountants that get every time there's a new tax code. It's like, here we go. We got all sorts of, and whatever we did last time, we're going to redo it.
Well, exactly. And Democrats in Congress, when Biden was in power, put forward passed a bill out of the House saying we want independent redistricting commissions. We need to take redistricting away from the politicians. Every single Democrat voted for it. Every single Republican voted against it. And then the Republicans in the Senate made sure that bill never came up for a vote there. So this idea that there's a false equivalency to say, oh, we're just doing what Democrats do. That's the truth, and history proves that's not the case.
What happened to the statesmen? What happened to Howard Baker or for that matter, you always knew where Ronald Reagan stood, whether you agree with him or not. Versus now, we have these terrorists, and they keep changing. They keep changing. We have this thing. First, we're with Russia, and then we're with Ukraine, and then we're back with Russia. But no, I didn't mean it. Now we're back with Ukraine. Doesn't it just seem hard? I mean, and I'm in the markets. It's hard to navigate the markets. Imagine all these countries and their political leaders trying to navigate. Is the U.S. a reliable ally anymore?
Oh,
I mean, they got to be
absolutely.
questioning that.
Well, no, they've come to a conclusion. The answer to that question is no. I mean, the European Union has quite clearly said we cannot trust the United States any longer on economic policy, on defense policy, even on supporting democracies around the world. The United States is no longer a reliable partner. Now, there is a sense of, can we get through the next 3 years and then hope that everything is going to go back to normal? Yeah, I hear a lot of CEOs say that. I hear a lot of foreign diplomats say that, saying, we're just going to give Trump whatever he wants to get through this administration and hope that things will go back to normal when this is over. I don't know whether this genie will ever be put back in the bottle. I don't know whether this idea of total war in politics, where your party exists to destroy the other party and destroy the other party's ability to have any voice whatsoever, that's not democracy. And that is why I would argue the Republican Party is not about democracy anymore. It's about seizing power and oppressing people who disagree with them. And we all should be terrified by that, because that's frankly how dictators have come to power in the countries that I covered as a foreign correspondent.
Talk a little bit about that. What is the parallels that you see in some of those dictators that were successful? Where did it end up for them? Civil war? I mean, what did it end up for them? Or they just arrested all the citizens that were the dissent?
Well, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because you see a country like El Salvador right now, with its president who is rolling back all of the democratic norms that people fought a civil war over.
Mm-hmm.
And he's taking away people's rights. It is this idea of trading off security for democracy. I'm willing to give up my democratic power if I can get some security in return. That's very typical. I think when you see Donald Trump saying that anyone who disagrees with him is a leftist communist lunatic who cannot possibly be allowed to have any voice whatsoever in how things are governed, that is reminiscent of what we saw with Saddam Hussein when he rose to power and ended and established the Ba'ath Party as the only party in Iraq. We see the same thing, frankly, with Osama bin Laden, in a saying that, everyone, we have to get rid of the infidels. Anyone who does not follow our strict interpretation of how the world should be run should be put to death and minimized and made sure that they never have a voice in our politics. We see it with Modi in India, an amazing backsliding of democracy in the world's largest democracy. I can go on and on, but it is when you put too much power in the hands of a very small number of people, the first thing they do is take more power, and they never give it up willingly.
Wow. I don't know if I'm discouraged or I just want to say, stop the madness. It reminds me of that movie, The Bridge Over the River Kwai, when he goes, madness, just madness. So in California, it may not work, because imagine, meaning the change of the maps, because the governor wants to do a tit for tat. And I understand that now they want to add more Democratic seats. But because the independent commission did it, they have to get the voters to approve to do it differently. And you can imagine, since the balance here is the control of the whole government really is what's going to happen by what happens in California. There's going to be billions of dollars spent in California on the pro side and against on that referendum. I mean, it's going to be massive.
Right. I mean, voter turnout in California will decide whether or not the Republicans maintain control of the House of Representatives in Washington, D.C. That's why we have these norms. This is why we don't have mid-decade redistricting, is because once you open this Pandora's box, and we haven't even begun to talk about, the president demanding stock in individual companies and trying to decide whether or not a CEO should remain in their job.
Can you imagine that?
Can you imagine what would happen if a Democrat went down and told Shell Oil that they had to stop their deep water rig at 80% completion because he didn't like it?
Right.
And yet that's what Trump is doing with a wind farm off the coast of Connecticut. The seizure of power is so terrifying. And conservatives who think that this will not come back to bite them when a leftist president comes to power, they're just fools.
Well, what's interesting is I grew up everybody knows I'm a financial person. And I grew up right when Paul Volcker was the Fed chairman. And I remember he was a big 6'8" or something like that, big, intimidating guy, a banker, head of the New York Fed. And he had a big cigar he always had, and he would carry it in on these hearings, and he would have no problem with a member of Congress that asked a dumb question for him to say, that's the dumbest question I've ever heard. Well, look at now. With Powell, the current Fed chair, and Trump has called him a loser. He's called him a numbskull. I had to look up in the dictionary what numbskull was, because I don't remember if I saw that like on the Three Stooges or what. But numbskull. It's just amazing how he's able to do that, and somehow it's normal or it's okay. One of the most powerful persons. Certainly, our Fed chair should be revered as the leader of all the world's central banks. A numbskull, a loser, too late Powell, and on and on and on.
No, and it's absurd. I mean, if I were to call Trump a numbskull in a column, do you know how many hundreds of emails I would get from angry Trump supporters saying that was inappropriate? So What is decorum? I don't know. That's my point.
I mean, I can only imagine. Now we have let me see. Oh my goodness. There's the old show, Carol Burnett. Remember Carol Burnett?
Yes.
And at the end, they said, I'm so glad we had this time together. Remember that?
Get out the hook.
Can you believe something? It's already an hour.
It's already an hour. And
I feel like, I'm going to have you back. You are so interesting. You know so much. The people need to hear this. Whether they agree or disagree, they just need to know what's going on in their government.
Well, I would just say, I write 2 columns a week, and I have a newsletter for subscribers only. So sign up for theeasternchronicle.com and sign up for Tomlinson's Take, and yeah, you can hear what I have to say.
And by the way, I read that column religiously. You got to get it because he's on point, and you're in my opinion, very fair.
Well, thank you. I try.
You are. Even when you can tell this is really your lane, but you still try to make it a little balanced and give the other point of view also. So you've got 30 seconds to say what you want to say to Houston and Harris County right there, Chris Tomlinson.
All right. Well, stay informed. Don't be discouraged, and be ready to fight for what you believe in, because the struggle is just getting started.
There you go, Houston, Harris County. This is Gilbert Garcia with a tip from me saying we'll see you next time. All right, Houston, Harris County, this is Gilbert Garcia of A Tip from Gilbert, Talk, Inspiration, and Prayer. We're going to now be on television. We will air every Saturday on Comcast 17, AT&T Channel 99, Phonoscope Channel 96, Suddenlink 99, and also hmstv.org. Every new episode every Saturday at 7 p.m. And follow me on social media. See you then.